Please welcome business leader and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum.
Small town in America with a backbone, we're the rock this country was built.
Good morning, Florida. Let me begin with gratitude to the Republican Party of Florida, Christian, all your leadership, all of you that I met last night, all those county chairmen, and especially all of you that are here today. Your dedication of your time and your resources to electing Republicans, the work that all of you do matters. You matter, your enthusiasm, your commitment matters, and in 2024 it matters more than ever. Thank you, Florida GOP. With blue states like California, New York, and Illinois are losing population electoral votes, Republican-led states like North Dakota and Florida are growing. In fact, North Dakota last year had the highest GDP in the nation and the highest GDP per capita among all Republican-led states. Low taxes, freedom and liberty, limited government, and innovation, not regulation, are the keys to economic growth, and people are responding by voting with their feet. Over the last decade, North Dakota and Florida are both among the top 10 states for population growth. But I need to tell you, each January, the sales pitch we use to get families to move to North Dakota is slightly different than you use in Florida. It's not just about the weather. We're basically advertising right now that we've got a shark-free, hurricane-free, anaconda-free, alligator-free. It's very safe in North Dakota. Matter of fact, there are no hotels in North Dakota that actually have alligators inside the hotel, like I saw this morning. But I'm running for president because America needs a 180-degree change in the direction where Joe Biden is taking us. Joe Biden is wrong on the economy, wrong on energy, and wrong on national security. The terrorist attacks in Israel and Russia's invasion of Ukraine are terrible symptoms of Biden's policies, but the disease itself is Joe Biden. It started with a disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. It continued with Biden keeping Western Europe completely dependent on Russian energy, which enabled and paid for Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Biden's energy policies helped China and they hurt the U.S. And then just in September, under an ill-conceived 5-person hostage exchange, Joe Biden funneled $6 billion to Iran, the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism. The end result? A horrific attack on Israel and, surprise, more hostage-taking. That's what happens when you put a billion-dollar price tag on Americans' heads. Simply put, Joe Biden's policies, they empower dictators and terrorists throughout the world. And the world is less safe for Americans, and it drives inflation at home. From day one, I focused on 3 interconnected issues that affect every single one of you and every single American. That's the economy, that's energy, and that's national security. If we get these things right, we improve every American life. We unlock the best of America. That's our mission, and that's why we're running. I grew up in a tiny town in North Dakota, 300 people. Woke? That was something we did at 5 a.m. to start the day. I held about every job you can imagine, working on the farm, the ranch, the grain elevator, started a construction company when I was in high school, even paid my way through college working as a chimney sweep. Every job I held was one where you took a shower at the end of the day instead of the beginning. And when I'm your president, we'll have someone who understands and respects the real work that Americans do every day. And that includes everybody in law enforcement and all of our military as well. Respect those. My dad died when I was a freshman in high school. He was a World War II Navy vet. My mom, a widow with 3 kids, went back to work to make ends meet. I understand what Americans are feeling with economic insecurity under Joe Biden. In my mid-20s, I literally bet the farm to help grow a tiny startup into a worldwide billion-dollar company. I've been making payroll every 2 weeks since my mid-20s. I've created more jobs than all the other candidates combined. I know what it takes to sign the front of a paycheck, not just the back. We built a company that served customers all over the world, 140 businesses in 132 countries. When I am your president, we'll have someone in the White House who knows what it takes to win in the global economy. That's what we did for decades. And now with technology and AI, it's changing every job, every company, and every industry, and it needs to change the government as well. I know exactly how to do this. I was in the private sector my whole life until 2016. We jumped into a governor's race 60 points down, won the primary by 20, won the general by over 40 points. In 2020, we won again by over 40 points, the largest margin of any governor's race in the country. In our first 4 months in office, we cut $1.7 billion from a $6 billion general fund, more than 25% of the budget, and we kept every train running on time. Yes, you can cut spending and improve services. Yes, it is possible, and it starts with treating you, the taxpayer, like a customer. After cutting spending, we slashed red tape. Just this last year, we passed 51 more red tape reduction bills. We literally crowdsource ideas from our citizens on how we can get government out of their businesses and out of their lives. We've cut taxes every legislative session I've been governor. We provided over $1 billion in additional property tax relief. We've eliminated income taxes for active military and veterans. And last session, we enacted the largest tax cut in state history, and now a majority of our citizens pay no income tax at all. Today, thank you. Today, North Dakota is both growing and getting younger, and we've got the second lowest unemployment and the highest workforce participation rates in the nation. The place we start improving every American life is focusing on the economy. Bidenomics is a set of reckless fiscal policies guided by extreme liberal ideology built into an endless swarm of new and dangerous regulations. High inflation is really a hidden Joe Biden tax. Right now, all of you, every American, inflation is costing the average family $700 more a month. That's $8,400 a year. It's a massive hidden tax hike from Joe Biden. It's hurting everyone, especially those that are living paycheck to paycheck. And if you're part of that lucky half of America that's been able to put away some savings, Joe Biden's inflation has come like a thief in the night. It's stolen nearly 20% of your purchasing power from your savings account. Interest rates are at a 23-year high. They're pushing the American dream of homeownership out of reach for millions. And worse, if Joe Biden had his way, your actual taxes would go up even more, a lot more. His budget called for $4.7 trillion, with a T, trillion, that's 1,000 billion, $4.7 trillion in new and increased taxes. To put that number in perspective, that's over $14,000 of additional taxes for every man, woman, and child in America. We know that Joe Biden's reckless policies actually created the runaway inflation. But now he's bragging that inflation is lower this year than last year. That's like telling someone, hey, congratulations, your pay cut is half of what it was last year. Joe Biden, the mainstream media, are trying to sell America on Bidenomics. America's not buying it. Biden's red tape and regulations are hamstringing job creators with almost unimaginable layers of federal red tape. They're driven by bureaucrats' liberal ideology that defies economics, they defy physics, and they defy common sense. This would never happen if we put someone in the White House, but this does what happened when you put someone in the White House like Joe Biden, who's never created a job in the private sector. As your president, I'll fix this crazy economy. We'll get inflation under control. We'll cut taxes. We'll lower gas prices, and we'll help people realize their fullest potential. To stop inflation and to make the U.S. safer and more prosperous, we need to reverse Joe Biden's green fantasy energy policies. On day one of our administration, we will stop buying energy from our enemies, and we'll start selling energy to our allies. America produces energy cleaner and safer than anywhere else in the world. Anyone who actually cares about the environment, actually cares about it, should want every drop and every electron of energy produced here in the United States. When we become truly energy dominant superpower and we support our allies, we will actually prevent wars like the one Putin started in Ukraine. We'll stabilize the globe and we'll restore America as the leader of the free world. Instead, Joe Biden's policies have turned Russia and Iran into China's discount gas station. At the same time, he's subsidizing electric vehicle production with your tax dollars. even though China controls 80% of the world's rare earth minerals needed to make EV batteries. It makes no sense. It's like Joe Biden's energy policies were actually written by China. As governor of one of the largest energy-producing states in America, and as a business leader who built multiple global software companies, I understand what it takes for America to win. When we increase energy production, we stop inflation, we grow jobs, and we weaken dictators. Last, we need to recognize the real threats to America and strengthen our national security. And that includes border security, food security, energy security. In a country built on neighbors helping neighbors, we become a country of neighbors fighting neighbors. We need a leader who's going to fight to unite the country against our common enemies like China, Iran, North Korea, Russia, and the Mexican drug cartels. It's time for America to have a commander-in-chief who understands how to make America both safer and more prosperous. Without a fundamental change in direction away from Joe Biden, we are headed towards a century dominated by the Chinese Communist Party and an axis of anti-American regimes. With a change, we can usher in an unprecedented era of mass flourishing with breakthroughs in education, healthcare, and more, which will improve every American life. We can create another incredible American century. This moment demands a president focused on unleashing American potential. I understand from all my work in the private sector the economic challenges and the innovation opportunities of this moment. We must also recognize that border security is national security, and our national security is compromised every day that we do not control our own borders. The likelihood that Hamas agents have entered America has increased dramatically over the last 2.5 years. The radical left's support of our open border policy has overwhelmed our defunded Border Patrol and put American people in danger. I've been down to the border more times than Joe Biden. We've had troops from our state down there multiple deployments throughout my time as governor, including flying helicopter missions from San Diego to the Gulf Coast, trying to stop transnational criminal organizations that are helping drive the mass invasion, 6.5 million people and 300,000. We've lost more than 5 Vietnams of Americans dying of overdose deaths. I will use all the diplomatic information and military capability to stop that from happening. It took Joe Biden 2 years to get to our southern border. I've been there repeatedly as governor. I'll get there in my first 2 weeks as your president. Ronald Reagan spoke of a shining city on a hill. America need not to be perfect for it to be exceptional. I've had people working for me around the world in all those countries. I've had people working for me that didn't have the right to vote, didn't have the right to free speech, didn't have the right to assemble. I learned as a young person how exceptional our country is and the opportunities that we provide. And our Constitution, it provides the foundation for never-ending work of achieving the historic and aspirational vision presented by our founding fathers. But right now, under Joe Biden, as we're creeping towards World War III, we're in a Cold War with China, we're in a proxy war with Russia, we're in a proxy war with Iran. To defeat those adversaries, we must have a leader who understands the power of free societies and free markets. Ronald Reagan taught us how to win Cold Wars. It starts with having the strongest economy. I remember visiting parts of Eastern Europe just before and after the fall of the Berlin Wall back in the 1980s and in the early 1990s. I actually went through Checkpoint Charlie in the 1980s. I witnessed Poland's transition to a democracy at the dawn of that following decade. I saw entrepreneurs coming out of being suppressed by communist countries and flourishing. It's a reminder. When we think about what Ronald Reagan did, it's a reminder of the power of a president who lifts America up and who lifts up freedom and liberty at home and abroad. Ronald Reagan famously told us freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. Sometimes people remember that, but they forget the second part of the quote, and I think it's the most important. Freedom must be fought for and protected, or we'll spend our later years telling our grandchildren what it was like when America was free. All of you are here fighting for freedom. I'm a proven governor and a proven global business leader. I'm a Washington outsider. I actually know how to shrink government and improve services. As your president, I will bring out the best of America, and I will improve every American life. Thank you, Florida GOP. Have a fantastic day.